Hey, Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Heather. I am an intuitive counselor, author, artist, animal communicator, and coach, and I'm on a mission to empower and embolden others to connect with their divine radiant light and honor the sacred connection with all life. One of the ways that I'm doing that this year in 2024 is to revisit some of the material from my book, Hey Radiant Souls, which was released in 2020. So if you don't know about that book or you don't know about my story, I'm just going to quickly sum it up. In 2020, at the beginning of the year, I got a tremendous amount of downloads from my team of guides and felt prompted and called to compile them into a book. It eventually took the shape of 12 steps to find, perhaps, and or reconnect with your spark, your light, your divine radiant light, as my team calls it. And in 2021, I worked with a beautiful group in my community online to walk through this content as a program. And I have an on-demand class of that, the replays from that content as well, that you can access on my website if you want. Now that we're 3 years past that, which is mind-boggling, for those of you who were with me in 2021, give me a shout out, say hi in the comments. I can't believe we're now 3 years fast forwarded from that point. But we are now at a place where I just felt called to dust this content off a little bit, step back through it and see what else does the team, meaning my guides, what else do they have to say? Where else are we seeing that we can apply this maybe differently in 2024? Because the beautiful thing about 2024 is that so many more of us across the planet are feeling the call to find ourselves. And I don't say that in a really cheesy, light-hearted kind of a way. I mean, truly dive deep, find out who we are, what we're here to do, who we're here to be, and how we can go forward and shape this world into the beautiful place that we want to see. So that's why I'm walking back through it. If you missed episode 1, you can catch that. There's a playlist for Radiance Masterclass here. And I just wanted to bring it all here as an offering, as a conversation starting point for us to have some time to just be with this information. So in episode 1, we talked about tune out to tune in, which means all those things that are kind of external, sometimes internal, with our own limiting beliefs, but the things that tug and pull and try to reshape us or put us in a box or classify us or label us in a certain way. And that could be the beliefs that you were given because we're all born into a certain body, a certain community, a certain family, a certain belief structure, and we're kind of just given that. And then as we grow into adulthood, maybe we no longer share those same beliefs as our community, or maybe we want to explore something different. Maybe we want to step outside of that structure. And so how do you step forward? How do you tune some of that out in order to find what is right and resonant for you? Or maybe you go back and revisit the same belief structures, but from your perspective a little differently. So basically, how do we move out of anything that has tried to pen us in and find ourselves? So that's tune out to tune in episode 1. And you can go back and catch that replay in the playlist. When we move into the second step of finding and shining your light, this is one that for me is both the easiest and the hardest. It's one where people can get a little hung up or maybe spun around in this. And the title of the chapter in the book is called Love What You Lack. And if I can find the little, it's a black and white picture, but I'll share it anyway because I like it. Love what you lack. It's a little one-sided butterfly based on a true story of a butterfly that I raised who one of her wings fell off, but that's neither here nor there. What I want to talk about with this chapter is sometimes once we tune out everybody else's voice and we tune out the maybe limiting beliefs that we have and we start to tune into ourselves, sometimes we do this kind of assessment where we're like, oh, okay, I'm not really as far along as I wanted to be. Or I don't really have the things in life that I thought I would have. And I don't necessarily mean, I actually don't at all mean possessions. Although if that's your thing, that's great. I mean, I'm not acting the way I want to act. I don't have the relationships I want to have. I'm not embodying who I want to be. I don't feel as integrated, any of those different reflections. And we start to kind of identify potentially things that feel lacking, areas where we feel like that particular spot on our dance card hasn't really been filled in yet. And why I said sometimes people get a little spun out here is that can feel a little bit defeating for us to say, oh, at least when I had other people's box that they put me in or the labels, or I listened to my own limiting beliefs, I had this pretty good sense of self. Maybe it wasn't really me, but I had this identity. When we get to the second step, we feel a little bit more on shaky ground. But really, when we look at the whole topic of love what you lack, it is that we find those things, and those things are identified so that we can then take the steps necessary to move into who we want to be, to find what it is that we want in life. And I just did a channeling before I came on camera here, so I'm going to share what the team had to say about that, and I'll be right back after that. Hello, bright and beautiful beings. We thank you for the co-creation of this event today. What we would like to speak about is a topic that is not entirely popular with many of you. And it is looking at what you lack, and not just looking at what you lack, but loving what you lack, celebrating it, we would even say. And we do not come to this perspective on the same path that many of you may have seen others project, which is find your wound, heal your inner child, list all of the things that have gone wrong or been done wrong to you. That is not what we would recommend. Although we would say if you find that a necessary exercise in your experience, then that is what is right for you. However, it is not what we would like to speak about. What we would prefer that each of you try is to envision those things that you lack as the very symbol of opportunity of bringing that same thing to you. And let us define lack in the way in which we speak of it here today. It could be an opportunity that you lack. It could be a circumstance that you feel is missing. It could be a characteristic of self that you feel is underdeveloped. It could be a state of being that you feel you do not yet inhabit. Some of you may say possess, we would say inhabit. So you can look at this as the relationship that you don't yet have. And so to qualify or paint that with the aspect of feeling lack, you may say, I haven't yet met my soulmate. I haven't yet found my friend group who aligns with my beliefs. I haven't yet found, or I do not yet know, X, Y, and Z person. If you are looking at a lack of opportunity or a lack of abundance, you may say, I have less than whatever I would prefer to have. You may also look outside of yourself and say, why does that person have more than I have? Why am I not enough? Where do I measure up? Where do I fall short? And as you can see, if you are looking at that from any lens, whether it is relationship, possessions, abundance, opportunity, a living situation, in any of those ways that you perceive a lack, you are perceiving the absence of something. You are perceiving, we would say, the concave representation of that energy as opposed to the convex representation of that energy. There is a little element of this that we would share with you. And we want you to consider this from an electromagnetic perspective. The things that you feel called to, that you feel drawn to in life, when they are the relationship, the opportunity, the job, the profession, the creative endeavor, the trip you wish to take. Consider that you feel drawn, you feel magnetized to those things because they have already occurred. They are already in your possession. They are already part of your beautiful sphere of multidimensional energy and expression. And that is why they feel as if you desire them. That desire is the backside or the flip side of the actual having. So one does not exist without the other, is what we are saying to you. So when you are considering what you do not have, I do not yet have the title that I would prefer. I do not yet have the relationship that I would prefer. Your soul feels the calling of that title, that perspective, that job, that opportunity, that relationship that already exists for you. It's just like a pinging on a map that is saying, you are here and you need to move there. So we would say celebrate that feeling of absence, that feeling of lack, that feeling of not yet or not there as the call to action, as the beautiful echo within your soul that says, hey, that is yours already. It's already in your field, or you would not feel a calling to it or toward it. So what beautiful actions can you take? And when we say actions, the first thing we would recommend is how can you be in energetic alignment with that version of yourself that has the job, that has the relationship, that has taken the trip, that has finished the creative endeavor. For it is more than anything in your world a vibrational match that draws things to you. So the lack that we ask you to love what you lack is the clue. It is a sacred spark of, oh, this is somewhere I need to do some work for myself. This is somewhere where I am out of alignment with what I prefer. And would you not rather know when you are out of alignment so that you can take steps to move toward that alignment? So we do not celebrate it to say you are without. It is a state of emptiness. It is hollow. We celebrate it to say, this is the first step. This is where you start. It is the beginning of the coordinates on your map. So when you look to say, I lack this, I lack a relationship, what qualities do you have when you are in relationship, in your ideal, perfect state of relationship? Would you feel sullen? Would you feel jealous? Would you feel angry? Would you look around at everyone else's relationship and say, oh, they're having such a great time, and here I am, a third wheel on this date, or here I am by myself, and I don't prefer that? Or would you feel completely loved, completely held? Would you feel in a state of trust and faith? And we are only offering these adjectives as suggestions. Everyone will be in and do a relationship in a different way. But we are asking you to look at the lack as the flipped opposite mirror image of what it is that you would prefer. And then it is up to you to tweak the image. There is a saying on your planet that asks you to consider, does the image in the mirror smile first, or does the person projecting that image smile first? The image in the mirror does not smile without you doing it first. So the mirror image of what it is that you prefer and what you desire and what you want and who you want to be and how you want to be does not happen until you act as if. And so we would say, when you love what you lack, you are saying, there is the crack in the pavement. There is the leak that I need to patch up. There is where I can start my work. And to celebrate it as the clue that it is to your need to take action toward alignment. We thank you for sharing this time with us. Be blessed, dear ones. Okay, so it's all about alignment. And if you don't know where those parts of lack are with you, and they didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I like the image of mentioning it as the concave versus the convex. So what is it? Where are the trenches that you can fill in for yourself energetically? And then how do you go about doing it? Living in the as if state. So I want to share the original channeled message that came through from the team back in 2020. Hey, Radiant Soul, you are meant to be broken, disconnected, fractured. If you were whole all of the time, you wouldn't seek those experiences and relationships that fill your gaps. You're meant to search for your missing parts, love them, accept them. Nothing is ever truly missing. You are as you should be, even with broken and damaged parts. Your perceived lack is really your superpower. Avenge your darker thoughts and embrace the strengths that grow within you to compensate for what you feel you lack. And as I'm reading that today, I'm seeing the image of, going to a gym and starting weightlifting. So you don't start with the heavy weight. You realize, I want to work up to that. I better start with something smaller. So loving what you lack is saying, what's the next step for me? What's the one thing I can do next on my path? And one of the activities that came through, I don't know why my voice did that, activities that came through in 2020 was to take a week and each day of the week write down 5 thoughts from your internal dialogue. So 5 thoughts where you may have said, I don't have that yet, or I'm not enough yet, or this is what I lack. Where are you seeing those things? And then, so I almost see it as writing 3 columns. Column number 1, every day. What are the things that I feel are missing? What do I feel like I lack? And if you don't feel like you lack anything, that's great. But I would also say, make sure you're not just telling yourself that, so then you don't have to take any action or do anything. You don't have to do any heavy lifting. So everybody has dreams, everybody has goals, everybody has aspirations. What do you feel you don't have yet? And then in the middle column, maybe reorganize them, prioritize. What am I most passionate about doing? So if in column number 1, you say, I don't have the relationship that I want yet. I haven't taken the trip to India that I want to take. I haven't written my book. Then in the middle column, which of those really excites you more than the others? Or how would you rank them? So maybe we say trip to India is number 1, got to do it. And then in the third column, the team is saying, write down the story that you've told yourself that prevents you from doing it. And really look at that and say, is that true? How can I rewrite that story that I've told myself? So maybe if the trip to India is not doable for you because it's not safe to travel, or because you don't want to travel by yourself, or you are fearful of leaving the country, those are all perfectly valid. But rewrite the story. What would it look like if maybe you connected with a travel group and you can, from the very moment you get to the airport, you can have a buddy that you fly with, and maybe you don't know this person yet, but you find a group and you can travel and you can do it safely. And so that eliminates that aspect of safety for you, because what that's going to do, mapping that out, is going to show you where you can start to find that alignment that the team talked about in the channeling. So loving what you lack is not to say, here's all the ways I suck, or here's all the things that haven't happened for me yet. It's more about saying, here are all the things I still get to work on. Here are all the steps I still get to take. I can be creative in my own life. I can be the conscious creator of my own life. And all this lack is showing me is where I can kind of get started. So I hope you found that helpful. I'll be back next week with our next chapter, and I hope you'll tune in. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day. Bye.